Karach, and now we are going to the next part of the program. And this is another block which we had planned to be women in conflict, how women are affected by different conflicts that are taking place now everywhere, you could say. And in the original program, we had one person who was going to speak about Palestine. And unfortunately, the person could not come. And we got this news just yesterday. So we had to find some solution. So we had to change the program for today. So for those who don't know that, now we are proceeding with the presentation of Olga Karach regarding the war in Ukraine. And she's coming from Belarus. And afterwards, we are having a small workshop again with the project of COP-Gender. And then we have lunch. And then we go to the session regarding economics. And then we are going to have a short introduction by myself. Then austerity and security with Elisabeth Klatzer, who's visiting us from Vienna, from Austria. And then we go to the backlashes 30 years after Beijing. And then we have, after the coffee break, another session that was not planned before, and it's in reality in this block regarding conflicts, but she could not come in the morning. And that's women in conflicts in the case of Kashmir, very recent conflict, India, Pakistan. And we have Swati Parasha from the School of Global Studies who gracefully accepted to come in the last minutes, but she is in the last part of the session in the afternoon. So those are the changes we have. And now we welcome Olga Karach. And Olga is from Belarus, but she is living right now in Lithuania. And she's going to speak to us about women in conflict, and from her perspective also as a refugee in Belarus. She is the head of an association that's called Our House, with whom we have GADIP. Our association has gone also into an agreement, and we are applying for funds for the Swedish Institute to see if we can go and have a project together regarding gender and democracy. So very welcome, Olga, and please.
Okay. My name is Olga Karach. I'm the chief of human rights organization from Belarus, and by the way, we are part of White Plus also network, and we are working together, I don't know, many years. And I want to speak a little bit about myself. I'm mother. I have two children, a daughter and a son, 10 and 11 years old. I have husband, parents who is living with me, and also I have a cat, dog, and 7 hamsters. 7 hamsters, only boys, because I don't want to have distribution anymore. And I'm working as a human rights defender and peace builder and educator, I don't know, last 25 years. And of course, I'm feminist and absolutely a very peaceful person. But this is how I recognize, or how this is my identity. But of course, sometimes it's very big difference between how you think about yourself and how other people think about you. Lukashenko has other opinion about my personality, and Lukashenko is a dictator. He is a chief of Belarus now, and he continues to have the power with unbelievable violence. In Belarus, we will speak a little bit later about it. And in Belarus, I'm labeled as a terrorist. I am under the death penalty in Belarus because for terrorism, this is a punishment, is death penalty. Also, I'm labeled 23 times extremist. And for each time, I can be imprisoned for 7 years. So you can count something like more than 150 years. And also, I already received 12 years of prison in Belarus, and for me it's forbidden to be soldier for 17 years. This is the answer and response of Belarusian authorities for our campaign to help Belarusian conscientious objectors and deserters. They want to show that I have no right to have the campaign because I cannot be soldier. And also, yeah, many in Lithuania still we have many attacks. I was in shelter under the protection of Lithuanian police 17 days with my family. Because Lithuanian police got the message that Lukashenko sent killers through the border and through the border, and we have a lot of cases of espionage and other very strange provocations, etc. I can tell more if somebody is interested, but I always think, Lukashenko, he has nuclear weapons now. He has huge Belarusian army. He has Vladimir Putin behind him. He has a lot of secret police, KGB, I don't know, many different forces. I am the woman. I am 46 years old and I am with disability. I am paralyzed for 60% because I have very serious autoimmune decrease. And, this is like why he spends so many energy and resources just to stop me, to discipline me, to do something, and so against me. And I found the answer because Lukashenko and other militaristic men, they believe in me, in women behind me, much more than we believe in ourselves. So this is something what other women in the whole Europe forget. Remember, when next time you will be very depressive, that men, militaristic men in opposite side believe in you much more than you believe in our movement. And this is why the women peace builders movement is under also very strange attack. So, of course, when the war started, I was shocked as everyone, and I am in Lithuania in exile since 2020, not from political reasons, but from medical reasons, because the border of European Union was closed, and as a person who needs very serious medical treatment, I have to move to Lithuania because in Belarus I cannot receive it. So I met the war in Lithuania, and for me it was something unbelievable. I should believe even in attack of people from Moon or Mars aliens, then I should believe that it should be even possible the war between Russia and Ukraine. But now this is like very minimum number of people, but I think that it's about 7 million people now in our region is displaced, collapse of gender equality gains, and in my opinion, Beijing+30 goals unravel under war, trauma, and authoritarianism. And this is a problem that now we have very huge romanticization of war. we have a lot of normalization of violence. And for me, as a person in Belarus, it was much more easy to fight in Belarus as human rights defender because it was very clear picture in my mind. We have bad Lukashenko, bad Putin, and the Angel West. Now I am in Lithuania. I have to help Belarusian, Russian, and Ukrainian women, and unfortunately, I changed my opinion. Of course, I still think that Putin and Lukashenko are very bad persons and they're horrible. But for me now, in the story, there are no any good guys, and this is a problem. I don't believe in ideal West anymore. And especially as I see at Beijing+30 and 12 criteria, I think that every criteria is under very serious concern and a lot of very strange situation what is happens in our region. If we speak about the objectification and silencing of women during the war in Ukraine, I noticed that we have very limited roles now as active women. For example, the societies, I speak about societies in both sides of the war. In Russia, Belarus, in the Baltic countries, as I have the same experience. And unfortunately, all governments and all authorities expect from us to be something like mothers of nations and push our men to go to the war. Even Belarusians, who is officially not participating in the war, Belarusian men who was very active in protest movement in 2020, they were in prison and they moved to Lithuania, and they have a lot of pressure and a lot of manipulations. Like if you really support the idea of Belarusian democracy, you have to go to Ukraine and to be Ukrainian soldier and help Ukraine to win in the war. And of course, many men who is political prisoners in past, they move through Lithuania, they move to Ukraine, fighting there, they have some problems with health, they are demobilized, returned back to Lithuania, because this is also terrorism in Belarus, they cannot return back to Belarus. And they are labeled as a threat of national security of Lithuania because Lithuania doesn't interest the men anymore. You know, the interest in them only like soldiers. You cannot be soldiers like your West. And the men are deported back to Belarus, and we have 2 cases when the men are in prison. So this is a lot of manipulations against men, but it's a lot of manipulations of around women too. For example, we have very strong expectation that we have to inspire our men to go to the war to kill other men. It doesn't matter, you are Russian or Lithuanian or Ukrainian or Polish or something, yeah, any other nationalities. So this is very, very clear expectations. And if you say, I am a woman, I don't want to send my man to the war, I am against, you can be punished and you can be under attacks. The same situation like other roles. It's very, very supported if you are making candles for the front, if you are collecting money for the weapons for Ukraine or for Russia, it depends in which side you are. But if you are trying to do something for peace, you are under very serious pressure. To speak about peace or to fight for peace become very toxic in our region. And of course, this is a very serious concern because the peace narratives are totally disappeared in the media now, and this is very clear war narrative. And if we speak about expectation to women, again, we have many men who return from the front now in Russia, in Ukraine, in other countries. And this is very strong expectation from women to be emotionally caretakers for such kind of traumatized men. And as a result, we have the unbelievable increasing number of domestic violence, especially in the families of hero or families where men are recognized as heroes. This is former soldiers or former political prisoners. And for the women, it's very, very complicated to say something against. Because the society thinks that, okay, we use the men as soldiers, now this is your task to integrate the men to peace life, but women cannot, because the men have very, very deep post-traumatic syndrome, and the women cannot do anything. Even if you speak about Belarusian women in the families of heroes, it's very complicated to get divorce in Lithuania, because as they were married in Belarus, Belarus has to approve the divorce, but they cannot return back. So this is something like you are forever with the man, in judicial sense. And this is only one of the consequences, but anyway. And also, if you start to say that, my man, he has such kind of behavior, the attitude of the public, of the society, or your communities should be very negative. People should pressure for the women to keep silence. You cannot speak publicly about the domestic violence. And in Belarus, for example, we have 0 shelters for victims of domestic violence. And even all organizations who was trying to help victims of domestic violence, they are labeled as extremists, and they are forbidden. And we have the law: if a victim of domestic violence calls to police, Belarusian police in Belarus, and asks about any help, the police is coming, and your child should be removed from the family, not from the man. So they leave you with the crazy man, but remove your children. So the woman, and after the man should receive the fine. So the woman who is asking about the help as the victim of domestic violence should be punished 3 times. It's like she's beaten, after she lost her children, and after she has economic oppression. But if we speak about Lithuania, how do you think, how many shelters we have for women victims of domestic violence from the families of hero, for example, Belarusians or Russians, or Ukrainians? Because we have also Russians who is fighting in Ukrainian side. Don't forget about such kind of people. 0. It means that we try to organize the shelters. It's not easy to do it because it's not socially approved. Lithuania doesn't need the soldiers, former soldiers, and it's understandable why. But where the people can find the safe place, where the women, as the partners of such kind of men, can find the safe place, or girls who is daughters. And also, as I see, this is many silence around women's activities, and we have unbelievable bad consequence of such kind of situations. I always believe, from my personal experience, that the grassroots level is the most important level in any society if you want to have democracy, because this is some kind of rules. And now, in the whole region, maybe in Ukraine, it's in some kind of way, the grassroots level is under very serious attacks, because women are really very emotionally burned out. They live this fear. They have no resources. They have no energy. They feel silence or ignorance, etc., etc. But it means that many social and many other very serious problems are going to the hidden zone, to the shadow zone. And it means that the tensions within the societies are increasing. I already spoke about conscientious objectors and deserters in our region, and they're criminalized everywhere. It doesn't matter, you are Russian, Ukrainian, Belarusian, or Lithuanian. It's criminal responsibility if you don't want to take weapons on your hands, if you don't want to participate in the war. And as a result, the family partners suffer in silence, and the organizations like our organization, we are under attack because this is a lot of efforts, especially in media, to push men to go to the war and to using the female voices. And also what is important, other groups. Now we have two types of people in our region. Men with weapons, it's number one. And second type of group are others, like women with children, consensual objectors, LGBT, elders, disabilities, etc. We are not equal anymore. Because if a man can take weapons, he has value for the militarized societies, and other people who cannot, they haven't. And as I already mentioned, grassroots women with builders face a lot of very, very different and very strange pressure. And the most dangerous trend, of course, it's normalization of violence and romanticization of war, and we return patriarchal narratives back. I don't know how it happens because we are fighting more than I don't know 100 years, but we are the same in the same situation. And I want to give you some examples from the what is happens with the 12 criteria of Beijing +30. First of all, if you speak about power and participation of women in the decision-making process, now it's fake. Sorry to say this, it's fake. Because, and even, I don't know, have you the same trend in your country? In Belarus, Russia, and Ukraine, we have such very interesting phenomena like reborns. Reborns, maybe nobody knows who is this. So some women who has no children and or don't want to have children, of course they have a lot of pressure from the society like child free. And so now it's very popular to, and this is the whole and very expensive industry, to produce dolls, very, very similar like real babies. You cannot even understand, that this is a doll. You even can Google reborn, and you can see the real pictures of the dolls. And the women, if they want to have some kind of social support and recognition, they buy such kind of dolls and walk with the dolls like young mothers, and of course this is fake mothers. And when I see for everything what is happens in our region, I feel the same impression that they militaristic, camp or camp of war, they want from us to be political reborn. Because which difference between reborn, fake baby, and baby? The difference is that baby needs real support, and you have to think about food, you have to think about many other things, pampers, etc., etc. For reborn, you just, if you want to take to show that you are mother, you take the reborn to show and to put and forget, and so this is something what is happens with women and women's movement in our region. They don't want to solve our problems. They don't want to hear our problems. They want to have us like, oh, thank you very much for European Union that you allow me, as Belarusian to be here, and it's all. But we have real needs. We have real problems. We have children, girls with disabilities and many other things. And now still, sorry to say this, in both sides of the war, in Russia, Belarus, Ukraine, Baltic countries, etc., this is very strange and very strong expectation from women to be a voice, but the decision-making process will be made by men. And to read the paper which men prepare for us, I don't want to play in this game. And I cannot accept this game. And also, if we speak about poverty, in Belarus, we have state slavery. Maybe you don't know about it, but state slavery in two types. One type is in prison, even for girls since 12 years old. And even IKEA is involved in such kind of slavery work. And the girls have to work in prisons very hardly, and they receive €1 per month as a salary. And the cigarette, this is some kind of currency in the prisons, costs €3. So if you want to buy cigarette, to buy any kind of benefits, you have to work 3 months. And secondly, for women with higher education, I have the experience to be slave for 2 years. It's strange. I understand I'm a blonde woman, with blue eyes, etc. But I was a slave in past. It means that you have to work 2 years without choice when government send you with very, very low salary. And if the government send you, you have to work within weekends without any rest, you have to do it. And so your work is unlimited, etc., etc. But if you see any woman from Belarus with high education, every woman has such kind of experience. And if we speak about 12 criteria, of course, everything is connected. And also if we speak about education and access to the health and reproductive health, etc. Politicians want to control us more and more, even our reproductive health. It's not secret at all. In Belarus, if you want to have drive license and you're a woman, you have to make your hold exams, of course, to show that everything is okay. But before the exams, you have to show the document from gynecologist that you are healthy as a woman and you are not pregnant. This is of course, people don't speak about it because if we have so bloody, torture and violence in the country, this is maybe a very small problem. But this is institutional violence. This is institutional control for reproductive health of women. And this is something what is going here very slowly. I see the same trend in Belarus. And if you speak about Lithuania, because I have a lot of experience here, this is also very serious access to the medical help for women refugees, and especially girls refugees with disabilities, especially with mental disabilities. We have the situation when girls, refugees with mental disabilities, if they're older than 8 years old, they don't receive any support from the state. And also now from the situation in the war, we have a lot of undocumented women in Lithuania, in Poland, in the Baltic countries. And nobody knows how many. And nobody knows how many nations, even not only Belarusians or Russians or Syrian or something like that. No infrastructure, no support, and very limited organizations who is trying to do something, because they're facing also a lot of stress from the Lithuanian forces because they want to push the refugees from the countries. They don't want to care about the refugees. But again, where the women who has no documents, who is illegal now, who is under the risk of deportation, for Belarusians and Russians, it means Belarusian or Russian prison, where they can feel safe, where they can find any place to be, because we are absent everywhere. Not only in Belarus or Russia and Ukraine, we are absent in all countries. Armed conflicts. So this is my pain. As peace builder, I'm strongly against to involve children in the armed conflicts. But in Belarus, this is a special educational program for children, boys and girls since 6 years old. Military bases, military units organize special military trainings for children from such kind of age and try to involve them in real military trainings. And now we have about 2,000 children who is prepared as professional soldiers. But this is about Belarus. But if you speak about Lithuania, so several months ago, the Ministry of Defense of Lithuania pressure for Ministry of Education, and they say that we have to adopt all educational programs to prepare our children being the best soldiers. I'm strongly against such kind of position and such kind of approach because I have children in Lithuania, and my children definitely they cannot be the best soldiers, you know. And so this is huge process of militarization. And also what is important, we speak about, I always believe in people's power. I can give you 1,000 examples when even with violence, with weapons, with surveillance, everything, actually it doesn't matter if people resist. Now we need something else. We need inspiration. We need belief. We need a common vision of future. Because what I listen from our media now, it doesn't matter again in which country. It will be war soon. You have to be prepared to be killed. Sorry, it's not very, how do you say, inspiring for me, you know, and it takes a lot of effect for economical life. It's a lot of effect for many other things. And especially if we return to economical problems and refugees, the whole social groups who can be very, very helpful even for European Union are excluded from the labor market now. I can give you the example with Belarusian doctors. After the Belarusian Revolution 2020, thousands of very well qualified doctors are suffering to Lithuania. And they're very, very well educated, but of course they don't speak Lithuanian. In Lithuania, we have a lot of spaces where people speak Russian much better than Lithuanian, you know, and so Lithuania needs doctors. As a person with disability, I want to say that it's very complicated to have any kind of treatment, you know, because they have no doctors towards you have to wait. So it was really a good example how to solve the situation win-win for everyone. But Lithuanian I was walking to the parliament, Lithuanian parliament, like for my job every day, and ask, please do something for Belarusian doctors. Please do something for Belarusian doctors. As a result, it's impossible. It's not allowed to them to work. And also, I want to mention very serious situation. If you are a woman from Belarus and Russia and you ask political asylum in Lithuania, for you it's forbidden to work. And the support from the government is €0. No food, no apartments, nothing. So you are suffering through the river with children, very often without any documents, without money. And you are very happy because you think that you are in a safe country, you are in the country with a huge respect of human rights, and your problems just transforming to another side. Like, for you it's forbidden to work, you have no money and no support. Survive as you want. So next slide.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, and so yeah. This is last. So I understand that we do very big mistake. We still think about geography. We think about countries like, oh, this country is enemy, this country is friend, etc., etc. Now I changed my approach and I divide all people for two camps: the camp of war and the camp of peace. And people from both camps can be in every country. if we change our approach and think about in this paradigm, in this way, many things should be much clearer and much understandable. And what we need? We need to renew and reactivate UN Resolution 1325. If you ask Belarusian, Russian, and Ukrainian women, who is very involved in the war now, what means the numbers? I'm quite aware that it should be like zero answer. It's quite elite knowledge. But you cannot fight for your rights even if you even don't know your rights. Even you don't understand that something is violent. Secondly, of course, we have to fight with militarization and violence, normalization of violence, because it destroys our future. It destroys our human being, in my opinion. Also, protect refugee women and girls from deportation. This is the problem number one now, especially in the Baltic countries. And also, what is important for us to rebuild and empower women's peace builders network, grassroots movement, because now everything is almost collapsed. This is only we have to return to be decision makers, because I don't trust any politicians anymore. I want to be a part of the decision-making process and you architect a system of security in our region. Because otherwise, it should be the same narrative. We are prepared for the new war, but I want to prepare for peace. And not only for peace, but for sustainable peace, where war is impossible in principle. Thank you very much. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Thank you, Olga, for of course very interesting and you put words to a lot of issues that of course you and women Ukraine work with, but from where you sit, is there any of the international donors like EU or any countries or UN or organs that are pushing this agenda that you can see from where you sit?
We have a very interesting trend now. When politicians, who is very manipulative, in my opinion, they use the topic of war like the explanation for all bad things. So here we violate your human rights because we have a war. We destroy economical system, we have a war. We do something bad, we have a war. This is a very easy explanation. It's not very easy to speak about violations of human rights anywhere. If it's here, it's of course it's much allowed to speak about violations in Belarus and Russia. In Belarus and Russia, of course, it's opposite. It's easy to speak about violations in the West, but not in the countries. It's the same in Ukraine, and so, but in reality, I think that it's impossible to build sustainable peace without human rights. This is something which we also have to activate Beijing+30, 1325, but also Helsinki 50+. We have to give them new energy and start to speak about dilemmas. We have a lot of dilemmas and a lot of taboo because now people are afraid to raise up sensitive questions because they don't want to give the food for the propaganda from opposite sides. They're afraid to say something. And of course, it's a lot of labels. Like if you say something, oh, we have violations of human rights in Lithuania, or maybe you are pro-Putin agent or something like that. But in reality, we have to use human capital. Now, why I'm so sad, the human capital is not used anymore. People believe in weapons so much as people believe in God, I don't know, or Bible or something like that. They skip any non-violent resistance or strategies because they think, okay, we buy new 100 tanks, everything should be solved. No. And so this is really, we have to be brave. If you want to build sustainable peace, we have to be brave. And it means that we have to touch even topics which we don't like to touch. But it means that we have to touch the topic with refugees, refugee women and other things. Otherwise, sorry to answer very, very long, but very important moment. For Putin, it's very, very important not only to win the war, but to distribute his style of life. And to say that, okay, they are like we are, the same, it's no difference. And people who is against the war, who wants to do something for peace, they become more and more passive because from the taboo and the silence around very sensitive topics and lack of any public discussion, people don't see any difference anymore. Sorry to say this. Many Belarusians and Russians who was very active in anti-war movement in their countries, now they don't believe in democracy, not from the violence of repression. This is something what we get to use, but because they have the same system here and a lot of triggers and a lot of the same situations. We have to fix it because otherwise the trend is increasing. We wake up in dictatorship not like one day, it was like slowly process. People just didn't react and now we have the same trend here. So we have to have more attention. Of course, we have to have attention to Ukraine. It's not this, it's understandable, it's not discussion, but we have to understand the war zone conflict much wider, not only Ukraine, but the area around, because all the countries are involved in the war in different times. So this is my opinion, and unfortunately, no. Donors and international community don't pay attention, and it's very complicated to speak about such situation. And even people don't touch because they're afraid to touch. Sorry to say so long. Yeah. Yes. Oh, wow.
So much for this interesting.
Oh, so this is my pen. Yes.
It was very, very interesting. Thank you very much for this. And now Alex and I,
Wait, sorry, I forgot to say, I sent the full text of my presentation to Nancy and Edme. If you're interested, because it's much more, you know, like, blah, 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 blah. More explanation, I should be happy to distribute. So thank you. So sorry.
yes, and we will continue like yesterday to